Welcome, I'm Mystery, and because the Innistrad Midnight Hunt release is really close, I decided to go through the new cards and take a look on how they can affect the current standard or how the standard will look like after the release. Of course, there is a rotation incoming, so lots of sets are going out, but we have standard 2022 when we can play the sets which are remaining, so we are quite familiar with the current meta without the Innistrad Midnight Hunt. And I will start with reviewing some current decks which I often play and try to find out how the new cards can affect the decks. And let's start with Mono Green. As you might know, I quite enjoy playing Mono Green in Standard 2022, and there isn't much to improve. Of course, Mono Green is one of the best deck in current meta, and there are cards like Overlord Trolls and Werewolf Pack Leader which really incentivize you to play Mono Green. And there is a new card, and the new card is Unnatural Growth, which I think is one of the best possible 5 drops for the deck. It doubles power and toughness of all your creatures before the combat. That's extremely powerful. With this mono green deck we always have some creatures, if not on the battlefield, then in our mana base with Faceless Haven and the Lair of the Hydra. So I think having this enchantment on the battlefield is really good. There isn't easy ways to deal with the enchantments. If they does, they have to deal with Ranger class and the Esika's Chariot as well, so most of the deck can deal with all of them. And really doubling your power and toughness is going to end the game really quickly. I think playing 2 of them is enough just to have the way how to end the game. The next deck I prepared some changes to is Mono White, and in Mono White there are quite a lot of cards to choose from, but I decided to use only quite a few of them. So of course I am playing 4 copies of the Intrepid Adversary, extremely powerful 2-drop which is 3/1 lifelink, and it gets better with more mana spent, because with each 2 mana you pay over the normal cost, it improves your creatures. It gets them +1/+1. So I think that's one of the best 2-drops in Innistrad, so I should really put it there. And with that in mind, I cut some Paladin classes, because this effect is quite the same as the Paladin class. So I cut one of them, and I cut a Planeswalker, the Master of Flowers, because if we have this card we want to play it for 4 or 6, so we don't really care about having lots of other aiding games possibilities. As you might see, the Legion Angel stayed, so Legion Angel, I think it's still worth it to play here, because it's a flyer and it has some card drawing effects, or it gives us more value. And then some cards I want to try at least 1 copy of, and that's Adeline, which is legendary, so it makes sense play lower numbers of it. It's possibly quite a huge creature with power equal to number of creatures you have, and toughness 4 with vigilance. and when it attacks it creates 1/1 human which is tapped and attacking. So yeah, this card is very good. Not sure if in this deck, because the 3 drops for this deck are quite tough, because we have Skyclef Apparition, which I think is one of the best removal possible for the deck. Guardian of Fate, which is some protection from board wipes. Elite Spellbinder, I think that's the best 3 drop in the format. So yeah, definitely card we want to play. But I added a second new card, and that's Brutal Kadhar, which also has a removal effect. And to play all of these, I cut Luminok Aspirant. I did that with only one of them, and yeah, +1/+1 counters might not be what we want with this deck. And these are dragons. And dragons was really a thing when the Standard 2002 started. With the time, there were other decks which somehow overpower them, but I think we should revisit dragons here. And that's because those smoldering egg is a dragon. It's a dragon. It's dragon even when it's egg, so that's quite important. And if you play instant and sorceries with total power 7 and more, it morphs into the dragon. And the dragon is really powerful. 4/4 flyer, which whenever you cast instant or sorcery spell deals 2 damage to any target. 2 damage to any target when you cast instant or sorcery spell. And with the dragon deck we have lots of ways how to get instant and sorcery with total mana cost 7 or more. That's Crash the Weak, Prismary Command, or Seagate Restoration, or Errant's Epiphany if we are lucky, Expressive Iteration, Dragons fire lots of instant and sorcery spells, and quite a low number of creatures. And to our creatures we have the Goldspan Dragon, of course, 4 copies, and the Desert Doom and Galash, so some normal dragons here. And there is one new card, and it's Galvanic Intervention. Galvanic Intervention is a way how you can copy your instant or sorcery spell for 2 mana. We've seen effects like this before, but it has flashback. So really quite nice value card. Of course, in the best case scenario we are going to copy Errant's Epiphany when we have lots of mana. But even in the early game, copying some Dragon's Fire or Crash the Weak might be a way to go. That was improving the current decks. The current decks from Standard 2022, and let's go to the new one. And let's start with the Werewolves. Of course, it's Innistrad Midnight Hound. Our werewolves are the thing in the set. And I think that werewolves are the thing in the set in such a way it's going to affect the standard format a lot. So, what are the new cards? And let's start according to the mana costs with Kessig Naturalist. This sweet card for 2 mana 2/2. Whenever it attacks, it adds red mana or green mana, and of course the mana doesn't go out when the turn phases goes, so you can use it after the combat. And when it's night, it's 3/3, which also buffs your team. So really potent card. It's a ramp. and also it's 3/3 for 2 mana when it's night and buffs your team. So extremely good card. Then of course Werewolf Pack Leader. You might seem there is a problem with our mana base. We need lots of green cards, lots of green and red cards to play this deck, and there aren't lands which quite help us. So that's one of the reasons we are playing just Pro Sentinel, and we might also cut some Faceless Haven. It will be decided after trying this deck. Yeah, Werewolf Pack Leader is a werewolf, so it goes in the team. But what are the benefits of playing the werewolf? Is there anything better than the classic naturalist? And there is. That's Overlord. Overlord, their Overlord, is a legendary, so it can be used as a commander in your commander deck, and it's going to be good as well. But here it says whenever a wolf or werewolf you control deals combat damage, draw a card. So again, extremely good value engine. It gets better when there is a night, and it can turn the day into night if you control enough wolves or werewolves. Then there is a Primal Adversary. The Primal Adversary is another wolf. I am playing it in 2 copies. It gets also better in time, so that's the way how to look at the card. I don't really want to play it on turn 3 because I have the Overlord. As you might see, then I'm playing Jessica's Chariot, Blizzard Brawl, Frostbite, so already known powerful cards in the set. Jessica's Chariot, of course, doesn't generate wolves but cats, but it can copy your wolf tokens, and it can copy your wolf tokens from the Ranger class. Or Artling, the Pact's Hope. And this new, quite a strong, powerful Planeswalker generates a wolf tokens. When it enters the battlefield, you are most likely going to minus it and create 2 wolf tokens, which are 2/2s. Or if it's night, it can generate you some mana or just attack your opponent. And attacking the opponent, it's quite nice with 5/5 Trample Haste. Indestructible creature. For 4 mana, yeah. Then there is a Natural Moonrise, which is card I want to try. It turns day into night, so it's going to grow your creatures, and of course generates some value with +1 trample, and if it hits opponent, it draws a card back. And then the Faceless Haven, one of the best lands in the standard 2022, and it's also a werewolf. I think this deck is going to be very competitive because it has really nice way of removals. There might be some changes in the mana base or our 2-drops because they doesn't really work together, but they are both really powerful and both really important for the deck. It's hard to tell how to do it. And when we are in the Innistrad, the realm of the horrors and horror stories, we should consider playing zombies as well, because the zombies get some good outcomes, really nice ways how to improve your aggressive black, and in this example black and blue deck. And let's start with the Champion of the Perished. This 1/1 little zombie gets +1/+1 counter whenever another zombie enters the battlefield. So if you're lucky, and you really should be with this zombie deck, it's going to be 2/2 when it attacks at turn 2, or even better, but it's going to grow each turn. And we should focus on this, it should grow each turn. Then the Shambling Ghast. We probably know this creature. If you are playing Standard 2002, this zombie is played a lot. The Blade Skitch Scab, which is 2/3 for 2 mana, so quite a nice stat. And it says other zombie has +1/+0. So the best curve for the deck is playing Champion of the Perished and attacks next turn with 3/2 after playing the Scab. Then of course there is a human, not a zombie, but this Jedar, human wizard, generates a 2/2 zombie with Decade if you doesn't control 1. And 2/2 zombie with Decade is a creature which can block, and after attacking you should sacrifice it, or have to sacrifice it. So there is a second very huge combination of cards with Champion of the Perished, because if you have Cheddar on the battlefield, it generates a zombie each turn. And when you attack with the zombie, it might die, but your champion is going to grow and grow. It's a legendary, but I think it's worth it to play 4 copies here, because the combination with Champion of the Perished and other zombie synergies here is really worthy. And there is a Tainted Adversary, which is 2/3. Again, really nice stats for 2 mana creature with Death Touch. Death Touch is really powerful in current standard 2022. It can kill lots of things, and these stats on the creatures are really good. And it gets better when you pay 3 mana when you play it. And it generates quite a lot of zombie, 2 times the number of times you pay it, and gets bigger with +1/+1 counters. Then there is a Wick. Again, 2 mana creatures, it's 3/2, so even better stats, enters the battlefield tapped, but can generate a zombie when it kills a creature. So quite a nice zombie generator. Of course, quite aggressive stats on this creature provides you with some really good plays. Then there is more payoffs. But let's keep the Mardu Outrider here, and let's go to the Abundant Dragon Lich. The Abundant Dragon Lich is a zombie. It's a dragon zombie, so it fits the deck quite well. It has flash, it has flying, and it can enter from your graveyard. You probably know this card. Playing 2 copies, some recursive threat, which can really threaten the control decks and surprise your opponent when they are trying to counterspell you on your turn. And there is Nerfy, the Betrayer King. That's the reason we are playing Snow, of course with the Faceless Haven as well. The Nerfy can enter the battlefield from your graveyard for 3 snow mana. It buffs the team, buffs all zombies. So really nice card to have in mind when playing the blue-black zombies. And then the new removal, the Infernal Grasp. I think that's the best removal in the format. Destroys any creature for 2 mana and you pay 2 lives. We are playing aggressive deck, so we aren't afraid of losing lives here. And yeah, really, a really good card which moves this deck one level up. And then the deck is missing a 3-drop, so I decided to play the Mardu Outrider, and that's because we can discard some cards which we might want to discard, and that's the Narfi, because it's cheaper from the graveyard, and that's the Abundant Dragon Lage because it can get back from the graveyard. So there is some good cards to discard, and even if we don't have them, having 5/5 on the battlefield at turn 3 can really change the game and change the outcome of the game. And the Innistrad isn't only about monsters, it's also about humans. Because what are the monsters without humans and their fears? And I really try to build a deck around humans. There are quite nice human synergies in green and white. And let's start with some incredible card, which is Catzola. The Catzola is the best payoff I can imagine for the creature deck. It says every human you control can tap itself and gain you a mana. And then there is an effect for 6 mana which put +1/+1 counters on each of your creatures. So the goal is clearly play some humans, play the Catzola, tap them all, gain some more mana, play more humans, and then buff them all, or just attack your opponent. So I think that's the main payoff of playing humans, and the second payoff is that the humans are good here. So they are missing 1-drop, so Chaplain of Arms might not be the best one, but still playable. Lunar Veteran, again, not really necessary card, but it's a human and we need humans to be on the battlefield when the Catzola hates it. So we have to play the best humans we can find. There are some cards which we've already seen with Adeline and Intrepid Adversary and Brutal Cathar. So you've already seen all of these cards. It can get some huge value. These cards are played in the mono white decks as well, and they are humans. So we are not really, with the exception of 1-drops, losing some power when playing the humans. Then there is Oath Spellbinder, of course, very powerful human, and Sigarda, Champion of Light. And Sigarda is 4/4 angel with trample and flying, so quite nice stats, and it also buffs your team. It gives +1/+1 to each human, and when you have the Coven, that means 3 creatures with different powers, it also draws you some cards. Then there is Resplendent Marshal, which is an angel, but works quite nicely with human synergies, because when you exile a human from your graveyard, it buffs all the humans. Again, just some try to enforce more of the human synergies, and that's of course rarely the ranks too. So it's the way how to buff your team. I think it's better than the Pudding class, but it might not be. So we will see. Then there is Snakeskin Werewolf. I think that's quite a good card to have here to protect the Brutal Card Heart or the Catzola on the adversary or the Sigarda. Lots of creatures we want to protect here. And then Join the Dance, just to have some more humans. Not sure if this card is worth enough to be playing it here, but let's try. Let's see what's the card in. It has some value. It's 2 creatures, 2/1 for 2 mana, and it has flashback, so might be good. There might be some better 2-drops as well. So that's all. That's my take on the decks here. There is of course lots of possibilities how to build the new decks. I was thinking about building or upgrading mono black because there are some nice removals to play. I think playing humans might be good even in the live game. So maybe playing this same human setting with some life gain synergies might be good as well. You might see that the adversary has lifelink, so it works quite well. Maybe playing the angel cleric human synergies here might be good as well. So lots of possibilities here. There are vampires in red and black, and there are some nice cards for control as well. The Teferi is back, so we might build some blue and white control deck. I think there are cards which might be really good in control matchup, so yeah, we will see how the meta will change. But definitely I will try these decks after the release, and I will let you know how it works. I will start with improving current decks just to save some wild cards. I will be playing some sealed in the mid time, and then when I got all the cards I want, I'm going to try werewolves, the zombies, and the humans. What you are thinking about these new decks, these new cards? Do you have any decks in mind which you want to try or want me to try? Let me know, and see you next time.